good morning, everybody. Happy Friday Eve to you. I'm Rob Evans. Welcome to Daybreak Plus. This is where we break down all the news you may have missed overnight and dig deep into what matters to you. And if money matters to you, you're focusing on the stock markets. And this morning, right now, those markets in Asia and Europe are surging after President Donald Trump's, some would call it stunning, reversal on tariffs. He's going to do them. He's not going to do them. He's going to pause. He's not going to pause. Well, now he says, okay, he's going to issue a 90-day pause on some of those tariffs. Now, Democrats on Capitol Hill are questioning whether Trump engaged in insider trading, though, after convincing stockholders to buy hours before hitting pause on those tariffs. It's a confusing topic, and ABC's Perry Russom is breaking it down in Washington.
This morning, President Trump reversing course in his trade war, issuing a 90-day pause on some of his tariffs.
People were jumping a little bit out of line. They were getting yippy, you know.
A baseline tariff of 10% will stay across the board, and the pause does not apply to China, with Trump raising their tariffs to 125%. Trump says he's been thinking about a pause for the last few days, even after saying this just 3 days ago.
Would you be open to a pause in tariffs to allow for negotiations?
Well, we're not looking at that.
Trump yesterday.
You have to have flexibility.
Experts say a major sell-off of American bonds from other countries may have been what swayed Trump. The sell-off a sign of investors losing confidence in the U.S. economy.
We saw that there was a real flight away from U.S. treasuries, right, and from the U.S. dollar. And this is something that people have been worried about for quite some time.
Democrats on Capitol Hill now questioning whether Trump engaged in insider trading. Hours before announcing the pause, Trump writing on social media, it was a great time to buy. Stocks then skyrocketing after the tariffs were put on hold. The president's top official on trade grilled about possible market manipulation.
How is this not market manipulation?
It's not market manipulation, sir.
Well, then what is it? Because it sure is not a strategy.
We're trying to reset the global trade system.
If it's not market manipulation, what is it? Who's benefiting? What billionaire just got richer?
Trump's tariff pause also does not affect Mexico, Canada, or imported cars. Their 25% tariff remains. Perry Russom, ABC News, Washington.
And KVUE talked to a finance lecturer from the University of Texas to learn more about how the economy will continue to be impacted in the coming months. Now, he says a key indicator is that consumer sentiment has been steadily dropping amongst Americans. This is Akash Kenosha. Take a listen.
Economy. So when people don't feel safe and secure, they're not inclined to go out and spend on luxury goods. So I think you're going to see in the coming months significant slowdown in like restaurant activity, home purchases, all that kind of stuff. People are just not sure where the economy is going. Businesses may or may not be hiring. People may be afraid they're going to lose their jobs. So you're not going to go out and take big risks.
It is quite frankly the unknown, right? Here in Texas, we'll be closely monitoring how our top industries, including oil, manufacturing, and agriculture, are impacted by these tariffs. And a little bit closer to home in Austin today, we're going to be closely monitoring the state Senate. Representatives expected to take up the state budget. Of course, that is the only thing they have to do, the only thing they have to pass this session. The Senate has already passed its own version of the budget. The Senate is worth $337 billion. It determines how much money different state departments and different programs will get for the next 2 years. Now, the biggest chunk of the state's overall budget, about 40% of it, goes to education. When it passed the Senate, Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick said it maintains the state's, quote, steadfast commitment to education. But some Democrats in the House say this does not include enough money to even allow to keep up with inflation. Take a listen.
We stand against this budget. We will vote no on this budget. It is said, because it is true, that a budget is a moral document. This budget is an immoral attack on our students and our public schools.
That was State Rep. Gina Hinojosa there, and there have been nearly 400 budget amendments filed ahead of today's floor debate. Now, once the House passes the budget, the two chambers have to settle their differences, then send the final budget to the governor's desk. And one lawmaker tried to shake up the leadership in a Texas House, but didn't work. Yesterday, we told you Republican State Representative Brian Harrison filed a motion to remove Dustin Burrows from his role as Speaker. Now, Harrison criticizing the fact that Burrows became Speaker with support from Democrats. He also says Burrows isn't moving fast enough to pass conservative legislation. Take a listen.
So I respectfully and humbly ask you to join me in removing Speaker Burrows so that we can put an actual conservative committed to the preservation of freedom and liberty for the next generation of Texans.
Now, only one other Republican voted with Representative Harris in favor of removing the Speaker yesterday. Ultimately, a motion to table the resolution was successful, meaning Speaker Burrows will keep his role. 7:06 right now, and it's time now for Grace to give us a look at the weather. Things looking pretty good. Going to get warm.
Yeah, things are looking hot, Rob, for this afternoon. Let's take a look outside right now. Beautiful sunrise over Austin for our Thursday. On the horizon here, we are seeing a couple of things. I'm seeing some smoke out there, so I'm a little worried about some wildfire risks as we head into today because it is going to be so warm. But of course, just make sure that you're looking out for anything that could cause a spark today because we're already seeing a little bit of smoke on the skyline there. All right, 48 degrees over at the airport, a bit cooler over that way this morning, 56 for Camp Mabry. Around town, we've just got really that cool spot at the airport and then also out there towards Llano County too. Otherwise, we're in the 50s and 60s as we head out the door today. You can even see we're dropping down to 46 for Llano, so a little bit chilly out that way and then a bit warmer as we head off to the east end. We still have very dry skies over all of Austin as well as all of Texas today. We still have that high pressure working its way in, and that is going to move our temperatures up as we head into this afternoon. So there's not a whole ton of range across the state of Texas today. Amarillo waking up to 47, Austin at 56, and Brownsville at 63 degrees. Now, over the next couple of days, those high temperatures will continue to trend upwards after a minor cold front comes through tonight, Friday into Saturday in the 80s, and then Sunday and Monday to start off next week, we get well back to the 90s, and we're looking at the 90s across the map for today as well. 93 for Burnett, Llano expected at 94 degrees this afternoon. Even areas like Kingsland and around that area, Round Mountain, could get up to 95 for your Thursday. Now, here's a look at some of that record heat potential for today. For Austin, we're going 92. The record high for today is going to be 94 degrees set at Camp Mabry in 1963. And the record over at the airport is actually only going to be 93 degrees. So it's possible in some of those areas at either of those two weather stations that we match or set that record once again today. We also, due to the sinking air from the high pressure and those hot temperatures we're expecting this afternoon, have an ozone action day in place. Basically, that just means that there's going to be more ozone closer to the surface, and that could bother a few of us who are sensitive to air quality issues out there. So this goes for most of the I-35 corridor. You can see that orange section there that moves all the way into Dallas and even over towards Houston as well. So if you're headed over towards those bigger municipalities today, you will be feeling that maybe if you're not limiting your time outdoors. You may want to limit your time outdoors anyway, just because of our allergy count is so high. Oak back in the high category, grass and ash also trending much higher for today. And here's a look at that 7-day forecast. Now we do have two cold fronts, one coming through tonight and then one coming through Monday into Tuesday of next week, but they're not really going to cool us down too much. Over the next 7 days, you're going to be expecting those warm, dry conditions well through the month of April here. Over to you, Hannah.
Oh no, whenever we get the 90s this early, I get scared because I just know they have a stubborn way of really not going away. So your time now is 7:10, just changed. And before I get into my traffic update, I got to show you my bluebonnet photo of the day. And this one's kind of bittersweet, y'all. So I got this photo of this big, beautiful longhorn. His name is Big Tex, 15 years old. This was sent in from Wilmer Garcia. But then I got a message this morning that Big Tex actually passed away overnight. So this is me honoring him today. We absolutely love our longhorns, and what a life he lived out in those bluebonnets. And I've been really enjoying the photos y'all have been sending to me. So thank you, Wilmer, once again. Taking a look right now, seeing some slowdowns in the northbound lanes on I-35. This is at North Lamar. There isn't an active crash there on I-35, but just west of there is one in that Wells Branch area, and that is on Wells Branch Parkway at Wellsport Drive, causing some slowdowns there. And then, like I said, you can kind of see that congestion moving towards that North Lamar area, and then a little bit of slowdown in the southbound lanes, but not as bad. We also still have an active crash on the Mopac Service Road in the North Shoal Creek area, not too far from us here, off of Steck Avenue, just impacting the frontage road southbound, not impacting the main lanes, and Mopac is still looking pretty good as you're coming and going really from North Austin. Taking a look, we've got several miles of that stubborn stop and go in the northbound lanes through Onion Creek. The good news is the crash cleared up at Slaughter, but I mean, we're still really feeling that slow start to the morning there. We do have a new incident in the Circle C area. Good morning to you. This is on Mopac northbound, where it means with that 45 toll road there, causing some slowdowns. And then Oak Hill and Dripping Springs, you guys are slowing down as well. As always on 290, it's like they're building the pyramids out there. It's just tough to get through there every day. Jollyville, we still have an active incident, 183 northbound approaching Spicewood Springs, and a little bit of car trouble near Lakeline Mall in Cedar Park. Rob, back to you.
Building the pyramids. All right. Thank you much, Hannah. Appreciate that. It is now 7:12, and dozens of Texans testified this week on Senate Bill 39. Let's take a live look at our Capitol there. It reforms collision lawsuits that involve commercial truck drivers. SB 39 is a priority for Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick. That's why it's such a high number, 39. The higher the number, the more important the Lieutenant Governor says it is. Still, some families say they're worried about what could happen if it passes, including a teacher who was hurt in a deadly bus crash last year. KVUE's Isabella Basco spoke with that teacher and dug deeper into SB 39.
In March 2024, Victoria Limon and her daughter were on a Hayes CISD school bus carrying pre-K students when a concrete pumper truck swerved into their lane head-on, causing a crash. One student on board the bus and the driver of a different vehicle died.
I remember their faces that day, and their faces crying, bloody. You can never unhear the fact that those kids were so scared. They were just crying for their moms.
Limon fractured her back in 4 places. Court documents reveal the driver of the truck, 42-year-old Jerry Hernandez, admitted to using drugs the night before and the morning of the crash, plus being sleep-deprived. Court documents also reveal the company that operates the truck Hernandez was driving didn't finish a full background check on him.
Because of all those actions from the trucking company on that day, those are all relevant to what contributed to that accident.
Now Limon is testifying against Senate Bill 39, which reforms collision lawsuits involving commercial truck drivers. When it comes to proving who is at fault for the crash, the bill would only allow evidence related to that to be admitted during the trial's first phase. Senator Brian Birdwell is the bill's author.
The admission rule puts plaintiffs and defendants on an even footing to present their case, helping reduce trial times and alleviate congestion in court so that legitimate lawsuits can move forward quickly in a fair and responsible manner.
But Ware Wendell with Texas Watch, a nonprofit, says there's a real safety problem when it comes to the trucking industry.
We need safety reforms. We don't need to have Texas families' legal rights taken from them.
For Limon, she's taking the scars from her past to avoid repeating history.
I want the laws to be more clear about protecting the victims.
Lawmakers left SB 39 pending in committee. They'll need to vote later to advance the bill so the full Senate can vote on it. Reporting in Austin, Isabella Basco for KVUE News.
And Pflugerville ISD parents say they are frustrated after repeated gas leaks at an elementary school. Those leaks led to numerous evacuations at Barron Elementary School, and now the district says it's evaluating the campus. KVUE's Brianna Perez explains.
I can understand it happening once. I can forgive it happening twice. It was when it happened 3 times that it seemed very clear that something was wrong. And at this point, 4 and 5 times, twice in one day is wild.
Mom of 2, Lola Hensel, says she's been keeping an eye on these evacuations since they started nearly 2 months ago. But after yet another gas leak, she says enough is enough.
My 2 youngest children who go to that school are both autistic, and they both have limited verbal communication. So they can't be relied upon to report to us what they're experiencing at school.
According to the district, over the past few weeks, staff has identified leaks on 9 natural gas regulators located on the school's roof. Because those leaks are near the HVAC system, the smell of gas gets drawn into the building. Hensel says other parents have told her their children have felt side effects.
And knowing that kids are having headaches, nausea, issues like that, I don't need another reason to feel scared to send my kids to school.
She says although the district has sent emails to parents, she's frustrated with what she says is a lack of action.
Wish we knew what went wrong where so we could know where to direct our frustration.
In an email to families, the district's operation team told them each time the gas odor was reported, the building was immediately evacuated and students were allowed in only after the fire department cleared it. And an evaluation of HVAC and gas systems that was set to happen this summer was moved up and is happening now. They said the inspection includes a full assessment of all gas lines and valves throughout the building. A district spokesperson sent us a statement that says, quote, "We will continue to respond swiftly to any reports of gas odor and follow strict protocols, including fire department inspections to ensure a safe environment for teaching and learning." Reporting in Pflugerville, Brianna Perez, KVUE News.
Now, we did reach out to the district for an on-camera interview to learn more about how the timeline's going to fix the issue, but we have not heard back.
I don't understand why they withheld them in the first place and why they were so secretive.
Well, after months fighting the release of documents about a home security allotment, Travis County DA Jose Garza has now disclosed those records through a settlement with Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton. Now, the agreement ends a 9-month open records battle sparked when the KVUE Defenders sought documents about the highly unusual expense of public dollars for safety enhancements to Garza's private home. Here's senior reporter Tony Plahetsky.
I'd like to move to direct PBO to process a budget adjustment totaling $115,000 from the General Fund Allocation Reserve.
13 months after this action by Travis County Commissioners Court, part of a government transparency battle comes to an end. Travis County DA Jose Garza has released dozens of pages of records after he spent months fighting to hide how he spent $65,000 in taxpayer-funded security improvements to his home. The records reveal for the first time that the work was done by Austin-based Piatra Inc. and show county officials did not follow its usual procurement process because the project dealt with security. The documents also reveal Garza's top aides were heavily involved in planning and overseeing the project last spring and summer.
Secretive, unnecessarily secretive.
Bill Elshire is an open government attorney and former Travis County judge.
They could have shown transparency from the beginning and not endangered any public official's security at all.
The KVUE Defenders first revealed the unprecedented expense of public dollars for an official's private home last August. We submitted public information requests to find out how those tax dollars were spent. Garza fought to release records until Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton ruled that he had to. Garza sued the AG in November to challenge that ruling, but released a portion of records at that time. The records show that he had been subjected to online harassment and a death threat sent to his home. We asked him in a sit-down interview in February about the secrecy surrounding the project.
Why such a lack of transparency around that? We did our best to strike a balance to protect the integrity of our prosecutions and to be transparent.
Under the agreement, the exact enhancements to Garza's home remain confidential. Elshire says the records that have now been released should have been months ago.
They not only withheld public funds, information about public funds, they spent more public funds fighting the disclosure that they've now agreed to.
Tony, thank you. There is still one pending lawsuit over this open government issue. And Paxton also sued county commissioners for what he said was a violation of the Texas Open Meetings Act, voting on the matter without what Paxton said was a proper agenda item. The commissioners later re-voted on Garza's security allotment on an agenda item with more detail. Well, every week here on KVUE Daybreak, Hannah Rucker introduces you to a different child in Texas foster care, hoping to possibly find a forever home. This week, she introduces you to a bright teen boy who is very curious about the world around him. Meet Daniel.
Now press it.
That's cool.
How about that?
To Daniel, there's no better sound than the rev of an engine. Daniel is a 13-year-old boy in Texas foster care and middle school who has a deep fascination with cars.
This is awesome. You ready? Oh, yeah. Hang on.
The two of us met up at really a paradise for car lovers at Speeding Springs in Dripping Springs. Acres worth of classic cars and a workshop to watch the magic happen.
And then you can stop it.
Justin and Megan Jones were kind enough to let us poke around the shop.
Was this fast at one time?
Justin Jones showed Daniel how he uses his sewing machine to carefully reupholster the seats, and he answered every question Daniel had.
Yeah.
So what that does, see how this has 2 stitches right here on these seats? That's what that does. It makes a pretty little French seam.
Everything Daniel knows about cars, he says he's taught himself.
I learn by myself whenever I do that. Well, I teach myself.
Why is that important to you?
So I can learn how to do things.
What are you looking forward to doing if you find a forever family? You can look at me.
Them teaching me how to drive, like me driving actually for real.
And as for what that environment could look like, he has a few simple requests. So cats, dogs, and cars.
Mm-hmm.
He said as long as there's cats, dogs, and cars, he's happy.
Simple enough, all right? His favorite subject, by the way, is math, which makes sense when you kind of see how his brain works, wanting to know how each car works. He could make a great engineer someday. To learn more about adopting Daniel, look for this story on KVUE.com/foreverfamilies. And we leave this morning with something to talk about. All right, your keys, your wallet, your phone, 3 things you don't want to forget to take with you when you go on a ride, right? But Uber is releasing its 9th annual Lost and Found Index, featuring some of the most unique items people left behind when they used the rideshare service over the past 12 months. Some of them include a Viking drinking horn, a unicycle. How do you feature a unicycle? Pickleball paddles with a ball. Okay, I get that. Boiled eggs in a candle, and divorce papers. You don't want to forget the divorce papers, all that work, right? Our neighbors in Dallas and Houston, by the way, were listed in the top 10 most forgetful cities. At number 9 and number 10, New York City took the top spot. So there you have it. Don't forget your divorce papers, your unicycle, and your boiled eggs. Let us know what you want to talk about, by the way. Message us at 512-459-9442. You got to text it. Calling it doesn't work. You can also message me on social media at Rob Evans TV on Insta, Facebook, or X. And stick around because Daybreak continues right here on KVUE+. Goodbye, everybody.